Welcome to Santa Nella, California. We are here to do an experiment that I've wanted to try for quite some time, which is to test whether or not a tonneau cover makes any difference when it comes to range. So what we're going to do today is try to control as many of the variabilities as we can. We've picked a day with very little wind, somewhere between 1 and 3 miles per hour. The temperature is hovering in the high 50s to low and mid 60s, so we're going to control that. There's no water on the ground, and what we're going to try to do is keep our speed right around 70 miles an hour, head down the 5 freeway, do a loop at Coalinga, which is Harris Ranch, for those that know the area, and then we're going to circle back here to Santa Nella, where we've got these Tesla superchargers. We're going to charge to 90% each time. We're going to track the battery temperature. We're going to make sure that we track the kilowatts in the battery, kilowatt hours that is, and then we're going to see what is used and what battery percentage we get when we arrive back to the start of the loop, and see if it makes any difference.
There's one element that a customer can add to the truck to make it more aerodynamic, and that is a tonneau cover. Tonneau cover, traditionally in the tunnel, at least based on our testing here at Ford Motor Company with our trucks, tonneau covers are more efficient.
The Mythbusters folks say that it won't. Basically what they're going to say is that an air bubble will form behind the bed here and essentially achieve the same results as a tonneau cover.
When a pickup truck is going and the tonneau is off and the bed is open and the tailgate is up, you can get a little wind current in there inside the bed of the pickup truck, and that air current of circulating air as you're driving in the back of your pickup truck actually helps air move over your pickup truck and down onto the road. It makes it more aerodynamic.
One of the great things about having the AL3 from Worksport is that I can quickly and easily remove this with just a couple twists of a hand screw that's underneath the tonneau cover. So we're going to remove this and then give it another shot when we're done with the first loop and see what difference there are between the results, which may not be any, but may surprise us. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Bo Family EV. I hope you'll like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. Let's go.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the base data that we're starting with. You can see here we are at 90% state of charge. Outside temperature is 61 degrees. Estimated range is 210 miles. That's because I have the standard range battery, so that is a smaller battery than many folks are used to. Looking over here at the display for the car scanner. Try to get the glare away, but it's going to be hard. Sorry about that, guys. But it is high voltage battery state of charge is about 85%. Keep in mind there's a buffer, whereas the display is 90.5. The energy in the pack is 88.47, basically 88.5. So we're going to log that. And then you can see down here, we're going to look at the battery temperature. We can actually get a little bit of a better gauge on that on this display. So this one will show us that the battery temperature is 82 degrees. And then again, you see the state of charge for the battery is about 85%. That's accounting for the buffer. So we're logging all of that information so that we can take and get as accurate as possible and compare where we're starting here with the tonneau cover on versus where we start with the tonneau cover off, trying to remove as much variability as possible and just see all of the environmental things. Wind, again, is looking great, only about 1 to 3 miles per hour, so that shouldn't be a factor. Hopefully the outside temperature will stay right there in the low 60s, and the battery temperature will hopefully be similar, and so we can eliminate all of those as factors. So let's give it a shot and let's hit the road. Guys, so we made it to Harris Ranch, and this is just a data stop, really. We drove about an hour and 9 minutes for 73 miles. And then over here on the dash, we're getting some data here. So the state of charge again shows 55, but but it's 53% of the pack because there's that buffer. We also take a look at the pack voltage at 335.5. It started at 365.5, so you can see that's part of how the BMS recognizes state of charge, is it knows that the battery pack voltage reduces. This is an example where they call it a 400 volt pack, but it's on the very low side of the 300s, which is one of the reasons that the Lightning doesn't charge as fast as some other vehicles, and a reason that the standard range Lightning in particular doesn't charge quite as fast as the extended range. More batteries means a higher pack voltage. We can go over here and look at this dashboard and see some of the data here. So what we've got is there is 53.17 kilowatt hours remaining in the pack. And then we've also got pack voltage or pack temperature of 77 degrees. So we can recognize that that is in good shape. The temperature outside, by the way, 59 degrees. So pretty much right in line. No real temperature or wind or any kind of environmental changes here. So nice and stable. Hopefully it stays that way. Let's head back the other direction so we can round out this circle of the trip, this loop of it, and then we'll remove the tonneau cover and give it another try. Things are shaping up about how you would expect. Right now we are at 1.8 miles per kilowatt hour, which completely makes sense. You can see that I'm down to about 13%. So I imagine I'll be close to 10 when I arrive to the chargers. So that's also just having the standard range battery. You can see why I picked the two locations that I did for this loop. That's about as far as my truck can go at a 90% charge. And I don't really want to charge above that because it just takes too long, as everybody knows, to get to 100%. And again, we have to crunch the numbers and kind of see a little bit more in detail. Then the question is, how will that compare to having the tonneau cover off? Will it be the exact same, better, worse? I think all trends point towards the same or very similar, but I wanted to know for sure, so that's part of the fun. Let's pull off here. You can see in the distance we're coming up on Santa Nella, and we'll be at the charger soon. So the first time that I pulled up here, I did not notice these pull-through chargers, which is absolutely fantastic and will make things a heck of a lot easier. We can just pull right up, charge, and there is even a squeegee for doing the windshields. So as we wrap up, you can see we are still at 61 degrees, ended up with 11% battery remaining, 19 miles of range, 1.8 miles per kilowatt hour, went about 72 miles here. For the total trip, 1.9 miles per kilowatt hour, 146 miles of range. And as we head over again to this super glary display, you can see the state of charge on the display, 11.5%, 14% total battery percentage. Again, there's that buffer. Energy remaining in the battery is 12.93 kilowatt hours. It was actually 12.98. I logged it as soon as I parked. So there's obviously a little bit there that's being used as I'm sitting here writing stuff down. And then we can also see, if we go into the other dashboard, just some of the temperatures here. You've got the high voltage pack at 82 degrees. And so again, that's all kind of in alignment. Hopefully
The next trip is very similar, so that all of those factors like battery temperature, outside temperature, wind, all of that stuff won't be a factor. So let's go ahead and get plugged in. You can see that obviously they don't want people using these unless they're towing, but for the Lightning, this keeps me from taking up 2 spots. You can see there's a lot of Teslas here, more than there was earlier today. So I'm still going to use this even though I'm not towing. Gotta think there's a better way than that to indicate that. But anyway, let's get the tonneau cover off and do it again.
All right, we're here charging back up again, and it's time to remove the AL3 tonneau cover so that we can do the second loop and see if there's any difference in efficiency. So we're just gonna reach underneath here and open this back up, and then underneath are just a couple of twist locks that we can take and undo, and then this will pull right off and we'll pop it right into the back of the truck. Let's get that cover off. It's just that simple, and it's done. And we'll toss it right into the back. Doesn't get any easier than that, guys. So all of that took just under 2 minutes, simple and easy. We'll close up the truck bed here and let it finish charging, and that will pretty much do it, and we'll hit the road and give the second loop a try. Thanks for sticking with us. What do you think? Leave a note in the comment. Will it be the same? Will it be better, worse? Let's find out.
All right, let's run through the stats as we get ready to go on the final leg here now with the tonneau cover off. You see temperature still remains there at 61 degrees. We're at 90% state of charge. Now you can see after doing this trip, it's only giving me 200 miles of range because it knows now to make an adjustment there on the guessometer. As we go over here to look at this information, the energy in the battery is 89.8 and dropping a little bit. So a little bit more actually than we got the first time, which was 88.5. So that's interesting to see. You can see state of charge display is 90.5, exactly the same as it was the first time. 85% of the actual battery when you consider the buffer, again, exactly the same as it was the first time. When you're looking at pack voltage, you're looking at 365, which is again the same as it was the first time at 365.5. And then we can go in and just look at the temperature, which I'm guessing will be a little bit higher just because we've been driving and then charging. And it is. You can see here that the high voltage battery is at 93.2. So that's a little bit of a difference there on the temperature. So time to hit the road and let's see how it all works out. Alright guys, we have made it to the Harris Ranch second stop during the loop, and so far things are looking to be exactly like what it was with the tonneau cover on. 61 degrees still outside. You can see we had 2.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is the same as we saw on the first round. 72.9 miles, which is just barely different. It was 73.1 the first time, so a little bit of extra something there. But overall, you can see same thing, same story here. Energy used was 54.77 compared to the first time 53.2. Keep in mind, we started with a little bit higher state of charge at 89.9 compared to 88.5. So when you do the math, what does it come out to? Total usage on this one was 35.13 kilowatt hours compared to 35.3 the first time. So it's dead on, guys. No difference, Tonneau on or off. Mythbusters seems to be correct. Obviously, we're still going to finish off the journey because I got to go home and I got to recharge. So pack voltage, same story there, 336.5 volts compared to 365.5. So 1 volt difference, no big deal there. In state of charge, again, same thing in the ballpark, 56.5. It was pretty much dead on the same. So looks like we're gonna head back to Santa Nella and charge up and probably get the same results there. So with the first half of the second leg pretty much coming out exactly the same as the first loop did, I think I want to experiment and find out what happens if we do something a little different. So you can see on this leg of the loop, what I'm gonna do is go with the tailgate down. And let's see how this compares to the first loop that we did on the return back to Santa Nella. So we are here back where we started from in Santa Nella at the Tesla superchargers, just as the sun is starting to go down. And interesting results here on the second half. As you can see, we had the tailgate down this time, and it got slightly better, barely slightly better than we did on the first loop. You can see that the conditions are still pretty darn similar. You've got a temperature of 58 degrees outside. We ended up remaining 26 miles of range and 14% of the battery. Here we got 1.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which is better than we got on the first loop. So that is an improvement. 73 miles, very similar to what we had. As we take a look here at the app, the car scanner, you can see a couple things, again, very similar. High voltage battery, 309, so slightly higher, which you would expect it to be. It was 306 before. But let's go out into the other dashboard, and you're going to see those as well. Battery temperature, 84 degrees, so that's not a factor. Wind wasn't a factor. Outside temperature, not a factor. So all of that is exactly as you expect it to be. So at the end of the day, it just really didn't matter. Looking at the second loop, second half of the second loop, ended up using 38.68 kilowatt hours compared to 40.22. So saved a little bit there of energy, but just barely. Can't say for sure if that was because of the tailgate being down, but it's possible. You did see in the video, though, that there was a 2-minute moment where I was stuck between like 4 trucks. So that could be part of it. Everything else could just be little factors here and there. But overall, 73.81 kilowatt hours were used on the second loop compared to 75.52 kilowatt hours on the first loop. So less than 2 kilowatt hours difference in those results. It was 1.93 miles per kilowatt on the first loop and 1.98 miles per kilowatt hour on the second loop. So again, slightly more efficient, but none of that was from the first half. The first half, again, identical numbers. So slightly more efficient on the second half. Was that because of that 2 minutes that we spent behind those trucks going slower? Was it some other environmental factor? Was it truly because the tailgate was down? Either way, kind of for what it is, not even hardly worth thinking about, to be honest with you. So at the end of the day, just put a tonneau cover on because it looks darn cool and it keeps your gear safe and protected from the environment, but not because it's going to do anything for your efficiency. I think you just make a decision on whether or not the tonneau is for you based on whether or not you need the bed to be open or secure and closed and protected. And then, of course, there's a lot of different tonneau covers you can go with. Be sure to check out Worksport.com. I'll leave a link in the description. You can see the AL3 that I use, which I really appreciate because of how easy it is to take on and off. Super quick, 2 minutes to remove, maybe 10 minutes to put back on again, just to align everything. They do have the AL4 tonneau cover that's newly being released. I'll have an install video for that very soon. Be sure to check that out if you want one that will fold all the way up against the cab. There's also some soft tonneau covers they have available. Lots of great stuff, all made in the USA. So as we wrap up and charge up here at the Superchargers in Santa Nella, turns out that Mythbusters was right. The tonneau cover being on or off just doesn't make a difference, but I gotta tell you, I love how it looks back there. So make the choice that's best for you. Thank you guys for coming along. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel grow. Check out the rest of my videos. Don't forget to check out the link if you want a discount on a tonneau cover of your own from Worksport. And we'll see you on the next one. You can find me at Bo Family EV on all the social medias as well as YouTube, of course. And don't forget about the Turn Down for Watt podcast, where we have episodes weekly for you to check out as well. Thanks again.
It's busted.
It's busted.